David's Saturday AI Thoughts, Episode 11, May the 2nd, 2026, The Bill and the Harness. What's on my mind? All-you-can-eat AI pricing is going the way of the all-you-can-eat Vegas buffet. I'm here this weekend, and sad about both. 3 of the 4 biggest AI vendors switched their pricing in the last few weeks. Anthropic, the AI lab behind Claude, stripped bundled tokens out of enterprise seat deals in mid-April. OpenAI, its rival, took Codex, its coding agent, to pay-as-you-go a fortnight earlier. GitHub, the Microsoft-owned developer platform, moves every Copilot plan to usage-based billing on the 1st of June. An Anthropic manager admitted its Pro and Max tiers have been outgrown by today's workloads. The market has conceded in unison that flat-rate AI doesn't work anymore. 2 friends wrote in about pricing last weekend. One friend, half-shaved, sent a voice note from Tokyo. $200 a year for Claude Pro is a bargain. Help with invoicing alone is worth it. But what happens when the bills go up 5 or 10 times? An hour later, a partner at a professional services firm. Flat-rate prices on a tool that gets better the more you use it have to break. The outsourcing trap, in his phrasing. Both worried, both thinking from the buyer side, both staring at a number that's certainly about to change. The supplier side partly explains why. Unit prices for equivalent capability are falling roughly tenfold a year. Chinese-built models anyone can run for free keep pulling down the bottom of the market, albeit trailing US frontier models by 7 to 9 months on the hardest work. At API prices, the leading AI labs run profitably but close to break-even on each response, training costs aside, and competition keeps them from charging more. Subscription pricing is a different matter. My $200 a month max plan, about $6.50 a day, delivers $500 a day of equivalent API usage. That isn't sustainable for the AI companies. They know it. That's why the pricing is changing. The buyer's reaction explains the rest. William Stanley Jevons, a 19th century English economist, noticed it in 1865, watching coal use. More efficient steam engines were supposed to reduce coal demand. They did the opposite. Cheaper energy made it worth burning coal for things that hadn't been worth it before. Total consumption climbed. Demand outran the savings. The Jevons Paradox was born. The Radiologist is the modern version and a cracking story about the people building AI being wrong about its consequences. In 2016, Geoffrey Hinton, often called the godfather of AI, told a Toronto auditorium that people should stop training radiologists. His reasoning was clean. Deep learning had just started beating humans at image classification, and reading scans looked like the obvious next thing to fall. He was right about the models. Image recognition AI really did become extraordinarily good at spotting tumors, fractures, and lesions. He was wrong about the radiologist. Cheaper, better, faster reads didn't replace the job. They made more imaging worth doing in more clinical situations for more conditions. 10 years on, the US has 6,000 more radiologists than it did then, and average pay is up roughly 70%. Jevons would say, "I told you so. Cheaper and better drives demand up. It's why flat-rate pricing breaks, for Vegas buffets and for AI models." So both friends last weekend were right. The bills will rise. Both friends will use AI for vastly more. Exactly as Jevons predicted, the vendors themselves are saying so. If the bill is going to rise either way, where should the money compound? Not in the model. Models are leapfrogging each other quickly and unit prices are collapsing. Whatever you pay this year for capability, you'll pay less next year. That's not a bad thing, but models aren't where advantage sits. The advantage sits one level up, in the app, or as AI people like to call it, the harness, the layer of instructions, context, and custom workflows that wraps the model and makes it behave the way you need. Same model, very different output. A team that has spent 6 months teaching its AI tools how they think, what good looks like in their work, what their clients actually need, gets answers nobody running the tool out of the box can match. Intercom, a customer service software company, doubled engineering velocity in 9 months on exactly that bet. Most organizations are still running AI apps out of the box. Same tools, same default settings, same generic questions, similar answers. Then they wonder why the productivity gains haven't shown up. The bill rises either way. Jevons saw to that. The choice is where the spending compounds. Money spent on raw model use funds the vendor's next round of competition. Money spent shaping your harness, your instructions, your reusable workflows, your saved skills. Compounds for you. The first is a utility cost. The second is an asset nobody else can buy. Here are 3 things worth knowing this week. Number 1. AI adoption stalls one layer below the executive sponsor at the line manager. New data from Gallup, the polling firm, finds that AI usage correlates more strongly with managerial endorsement than with tool access. In firms where the manager actively supports AI, 80% of staff use it weekly. Where they don't, that drops to 44%. In the public sector, 65% versus 37%. Procurement and licenses are the easy part. The variable that actually moves usage is whether middle managers model and endorse the tools or quietly signal they're optional. Adoption lives or dies one layer below the top. Number 2, the frontier model leaderboard is now refreshing in weeks, not quarters. The Epoch Capabilities Index, run by Epoch AI, a model evaluation outfit, now shows GPT 5.5 Pro and Gemini 3.1 Pro above 155, up from GPT 4o's 128 in mid-2024. 17 frontier releases compressed into under 2 years with no visible plateau. Greg Burnham, an Epoch researcher, summed up the pace. I don't know when Opus 8.2 will be shipped, but GPT 9.1 will be shipped that afternoon. Whatever model you standardize on today may be 2 generations behind by the time the training program rolls out. Build workflows and judgment around capabilities, not named models. Number 3, 6 VC firms, 1 investment thesis. Linus Beliunas, a fintech writer, read the published 2026 investment theses of 6 of the biggest venture firms side by side and found the same handful of AI bets in all of them. AI-native enterprise software replacing the old workflow systems, AI agents for physical and industrial work, vertical AI software in legal, finance, healthcare and construction, multi-agent orchestration, and health AI. His line, you could swap the logos on their published theses and most readers wouldn't notice. His sharper conclusion, the most valuable software companies of the next decade won't look like software companies. They'll look like law firms, factories and hedge funds run by teams of 10. If your industry sits in any of those buckets, your next competitor is being funded right now to do your work with a team of 10.
Three things to try. Number 1, pick one tool, get good, then refine your harness. Pick one AI tool, don't worry about which, get fluent. Then spend the next month making it yours. That means skills, saved instructions, project context, and tools it can reach. The model will keep improving on its own. The harness is your job. A leader I spoke to has spent weeks running the same task through ChatGPT and Claude side by side, then asking each to review the other. Genuinely interesting and occasionally useful, but they can't decide which to use when. The advice from someone who has been at this longer. Pick one, become very good with it, learn its quirks, then build the layer above it that reflects how you actually work. Most of the value is in fluency with one tool, not coverage across 2. Number 2, force yourself to change something on every AI output before you ship it. Whatever the AI gives you, a paragraph, a slide, a summary, add something, remove something, or reorder something before it leaves your hands. Make it a rule, not a judgment call. This came up at a senior training session this week as the room debated when the check, edit, own model breaks down. Increasingly, the edit feels optional because the output looks good. The rule of always change something is a forcing function. It keeps your fingerprints on the work, keeps you reading carefully enough to find the change worth making, and prevents the slow drift to brain rot. Hopefully. Ensure your fingerprints are on every output. Number 3, skip the slides, build the page. Next time you'd reach for PowerPoint, to walk a group through a framework, write the content as text, and ask your model to turn it into a single HTML page instead. In a senior strategy session this week, the most praised artifact in the room was not a deck. It was a web page someone had built to walk teams through their thinking. Building it took a clear thought, a text file, and a small Claude skill they had set up once, their harness paying off in front of the room.
What readers said. Last week's edition on Rise of the Auditors landed hard. 2 threads ran through the responses. The first was recognition. A senior strategist replied that they're now, in their words, doing AI work in ways that are built more to help the auditor, me, check it, rather than to do the work itself. The second sparked this week's essay. A partner at a global professional services firm pushed back on flat-rate pricing and named the outsourcing trap. The full exchange runs in the letters section online. The apprenticeship worry came up again from several readers, with one naming it as the single critical question for any firm whose business depends on people developing judgment over a decade. A counter-voice from a different group argued that organizations with a strong brand and an existing audit culture absorb the shock. The trust premium rises as production commoditizes.
My take on what readers who've sent thoughtful replies to this newsletter are posting on LinkedIn, the thread that pulled hardest on the bill and the harness theme this week. Akash Gandhi, partner at LEK Consulting, a strategy consultancy, posted the cautionary parallel readers will recognise. Broadcom raised VMware license fees by 2 to 5 times, in some cases tenfold, once enterprise customers had committed. The pattern repeats wherever the buyer surrenders the layer above the model. Chuck Reynolds, also a partner at LEK, set out the discipline that prevents it. Buy point solutions where the capability is standardized and build proprietary ones only where the insight, data, or decision logic is genuinely unique to your business. Henry Coutinho-Mason, a futurist and keynote speaker, used a recent SXSW talk to push the slogan "Agency over Agents" and tell the story of a Belgian cardiologist building their own Claude Code workflows, harness as edge in microcosm. And Colin Lewis, a behavioral economist who writes the Robotonomics newsletter on automation and AI, surfaced an 8-word epigraph from Sam Curry, a strategist writing on platforms and audience economics that sat with me all week. The companies that don't own their own content pipeline will end up renting someone else's audience and paying more for worse signal.
That's it for David's Saturday AI Thoughts this week. This is a faithful reading of the email edition. The full written version with all the links and sources, plus 4 bits that didn't fit, full reader letters, and full community voices is at stedman.ai. Thanks for listening.